The Sunday train which snaked into Noah Vale that verdant, midwinter afternoon brought with it fire, sending an inferno of small-town gossip roaring up the valley. Olive Emerson, a sprightly middle-aged figure on the crowded platform, shot off one last fretful prayer as the train jerked to a stop, then wandered slowly along its length, scanning each carriage for the first glimpse of her nieces, 3 newly orphaned girls come home to their outcast mother's birthplace. And here they were. The 5th carriage was set to burn, flaming with redheads. The first, richest red, hauled back in an austere bun. The second, flowing strawberry flames striated with gold. And lastly, the burnished auburn curls of a clinging 3-year-old. Olive marvelled at how Esther's radiant colouring had filtered down through her daughters. Each girl carried that wild red streak in her own way, enough of their tragically beautiful mother to bless or curse accordingly. Superstitious fool, Olive rebuked herself. She'd vowed to wipe the slate clean with her nieces, a mercy Esther was never afforded. Olive's eyes fixed on the carriage window, imploring the girls to acknowledge her before the murmuring crowd. She was acutely conscious of her assumed status here as rescuing aunt, when, in truth, she was naught but a stranger to these girls. Olive had heard the voices down Main Street dripping with scorn over the latest Hamilton tragedy, the long ostracised daughter of Noah Vale finally getting her comeuppance, and Esther's bastards coming home in repentance for her. Even after all these years, Olive could not stomach what had happened to her kinfolk. The Hamiltons had been a founding family of this insular rural valley and, for generations, bastions of respectability in church, school and farming life. No one would have predicted it, least of all themselves. Malcolm and Lois Hamilton, coming late to parenthood, had raised 2 girls who would take vastly different paths in life. Olive, the eldest, had finished school at 14, married a nice local boy, and settled into her expected place. Though Olive and Gavin Emerson had produced no children of their own, they'd always given back to the community and tried to be a light to others. Side by side, their shop shingles proudly hung. Emerson's Hardware, and Emerson's Fashion and Fabrics. Then there was Esther. A change-of-life baby, born more than a decade after Olive. Esther had been an aspiring writer, with a bright intellect and astonishing beauty. The most promising debutante to have ever graced the stage of Noah Vale School. Or so they once had said. Esther Hamilton was only remembered now as a ruinous Jezebel. The Hamiltons had lived with that shame chafing their infamous family pride for nearly 2 decades. But Lois and Malcolm had both passed away in recent years, unreconciled with a daughter who'd proven herself time and time again a woman of ill repute. For 20 years, Olive had borne the comparisons between the Hamilton sisters, suffered their estrangement, and prayed unceasingly for little Essie to be brought to her senses and home to the family fold. But pride on one side and shame on the other had proven insurmountable on both counts. Of the Hamiltons, only Olive had sustained tenuous contact with Esther. Odd letters and birthday cards, occasional phone calls, all attempted gently through indirect routes. Mostly they went unanswered, or took so circuitous a journey back they were hardly relevant anymore. But what more could Olive have done? The question haunted her. The Hamiltons' last contact with Esther, 8 years ago, had been to inform her of Lois's funeral arrangements. What daughter wouldn't come home for her mother's funeral? Well, Olive knew now. The one who was telephoned for the first time in 12 years by her gruff-voiced father and expressly forbidden to attend, lest she bring shame on an honourable woman's memory.